Hi folks, in this week's tech tip I wanted to take a little bit of time to show you a little more about how to use the filter views in a Google Sheet, or at least the filter tools. Um, some of you may be perfectly familiar with this. There may be a couple of little things that you didn't realize, and I'll be quite candid in saying if you use spreadsheets a lot, you probably already know this, but pivot tables are probably a better path to go down if you need to do more complex analysis of data from the spreadsheets that you've got. And you'll find if you go and search Google Sheets pivot tables, there are no end of great tutorials online. But we'll keep this nice and short. I want to start by just talking through how filters work in Google Sheets. So on your row of tools here, if your page is relatively condensed like mine, you might have to click the three dots to find this symbol here, which is the create a filter symbol. Now, if you select a column before you click on it, it will only apply the filter to that column, and you can't then seem to kind of add separate filters. So if you only want to create a filter with one group of data, that's probably the way to go about it. However, what I generally find most useful is actually, rather than doing it that way, to just not select a specific column, turn on create a filter, and that will then give you this little filter option at the top of every one of your columns. And that means that you can apply a couple of different filters. So for example, if we wanted to find out data specifically about pupils from a particular house, we could go along to filter here and we could clear all, and we could just select pupils from Chestnut House and click OK. And maybe we wanted to just look at pupils from a specific year group. So we want to look at pupils from year 10. So we'll clear all the data, select year 10, and click OK. And that again just cuts down all that data to the specific stuff we want to look at, and then we could go and add filters to these. The slight issue that might arise there is that sometimes you want to filter by a specific range of data rather than by just a specific number. So for example, we'll undo those last filters. Say we wanted to look at achievement points above a certain value. It would be really time consuming to go into here and then have to try and click, okay, well, everyone above 20 points, clear and then go through and click them all. Take forever. So what you might want to be aware of is that if you go up here to filter by condition instead, you get a load of different options. So we could go down here and choose from all these many variables, or many conditions, I suppose, and choose an appropriate condition. So in our case, it might be greater than, and maybe we want to find all of the points that are greater than, let's say 80. If we do that, go down to the bottom and click OK, it will now filter our view to show only values above a certain amount, and then we could add further filters for other reasons as well. So that should allow you to narrow down and look at just specific sets of information that you really need to see, rather than having to kind of wade through all the data on a spreadsheet. Now, one thing to be aware of is that when you just use the filter tool like this, that applies a filter to the spreadsheet which is shared. And so if you were sharing the spreadsheet and other people were using it, anyone else looking at the spreadsheet will see the view as it appears to you with your filters applied. They won't see the unfiltered spreadsheet, and they may come along and turn off the filter view, and that becomes problematic for you because you want to use that specific filter view, and it creates a bit of a hassle. So there's a wee way around that, and it's what we call filter views. So if you click on the wee drop down beside the filter tool, you'll see that you can actually create a new filter view. And when we do this, it kind of opens that spreadsheet up in a little side view and it's not like a copy, it's still the same spreadsheet, but it's a different view that's separate from the main unfiltered view. And so in here, we could just call this example, and we could make a couple of changes here. So let's just filter the late percent so that it's only filtered by greater than 5. Okay, and we want our behavior points to be below, we'll just do a couple here, less than, let's say less than 10 behavior points. And we want to look at a specific house group. So we'll just clear those and select Acorn House. Just by the way, these are all, it's not actual data, it's just a kind of an example spreadsheet here. So that's us got our filter view. And that is now basically saved as a filter view. So if I come out of here, click the wee X here, go back to my normal view, it gives me an unfiltered normal view of that spreadsheet with all that data still in it. But if I go here and I go to the wee drop down, you'll see that I now have my filter view saved and I can open that back up. So if we're taking the same set of data and we're filtering it for a couple of different purposes, maybe to analyze achievement or behavior, or just look at stats for a specific house, we could create separate filter views for that same spreadsheet, which shows different ranges of filtered information. And it hopefully just makes your process of analyzing any data that you have in spreadsheets that's maybe been generated from a Google form or just from your tracking, monitoring, and so on and so forth, just a little bit easier to manage. Hope that was helpful. If you've got any questions, just let us know.